Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending Intento's session, part of our Verint Marketplace Partner Showcase. I'm Matt Pike, Senior Director of Strategic Partner Business Development, and today I am joined by Marilyn Verint, Solutions Engineer from Intento. Marilyn, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Marilyn. I'm a Solutions Engineer at Intento, and I help Intento customers learn more about the ways in which they can use our solutions. And one of those is the translator for the Verint Community platform. So what I'll be showing you today is just a bit of an overview of Intento as a company, a bit of a solution overview as well, and then I'll be going straight into an integration demo so you can see how the functionality works in real time. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about us. Intento is an advanced language experience platform, and we help global enterprises overcome language barriers across their digital ecosystems. Now, our solution is called the Language Hub, and it provides universal access to custom language workflows that we've built for you through a single API. And it provides, it then connects to these business systems that you're already using. This then enables you to deliver multilingual experiences without the complexity of setting up these language workflows yourself, or having to migrate to a new platform, or even just managing relationships with multiple translation vendors. Now, we work with a range of organizations across various industries. We don't tend to focus on a particular vertical, as language experience is ever present as long as a company is internationally active. But some of the organizations actively using our solutions are, like you can see here, technology and software companies, life sciences and healthcare organizations, manufacturing and industrial companies, or e-commerce and retail businesses. Now, regardless of the industries, across all of these organizations, we enable multilinguality wherever they need it. What that usually means, the main areas we touch are global customer support operations, online communities like the Verint Community platform, and knowledge bases, and just general areas where either your customers or your employees need to access content in their preferred language. Now, just a bit about the Verint partnership with Intento. Intento's collaboration with Verint has enabled global organizations to transform their community platforms into truly multilingual environments. Now, by integrating our translation capabilities into Verint Community, we've helped a number of companies achieve remarkable results, like you can see here. One of our customers' community portals now processes 1,700 translation requests daily across 38 languages, translating approximately 80,000 pages of technical content without investing in traditional localization processes. And another Intento customer saw a 59% user engagement increase after implementing our solution in their Verint Community platform as well. Now, if you want to know more about the Intento solution for Verint and how it works and how other companies have fared before you, please do check out our case studies, our marketplace listing, or get in touch with us via email. Now, just a bit about the solution itself. You know a bit about who we are, who we work with, and what types of problems we solve. But how do we do that in the Verint platform? I'm going to be taking you through how the Intento plugin works, specifically on Verint Community, but also what kind of functionality goes on behind the scenes. So we'll be looking into the Language Hub itself. Now, in general, our platform provides seamless integration with systems you're already using, like Verint specifically, with pre-built connectors, custom workflows built for your use case, your content, your language pairs for optimal quality, centralized management of language technology vendors through a unified dashboard, and specialized solutions like the Verint Translator that enable on-the-fly translation of community content. And that specialized solution is what I'll be focusing on today. It seamlessly integrates into the Verint Community platform via a simple plugin installation. Now, what it then does is it enables any end user of the community platform to translate the content that they see into their preferred language in real time. Now, who can benefit from this? Really, anybody using the community platform as an end user. While you as a company can decide which languages you want to make available in your environment, spoiler alert, there are over 650 languages we can implement, so there's not really any limitation there. But the end user will then be able to have that authentic experience in their preferred language for those areas that you decide to make the translator available. Now, before I go into the live environment, you might think, what's the benefit of this over just using a browser-based solution that you see a lot these days and that a user could use themselves? And most of the answers to that questions you'll see during the actual live demo, but I will say now, one of the biggest values you'll get from this solution is a custom language experience that's tailored to your content, your language, your business requirements specifically. Now, this we've seen with some of our existing Intento customers using the solution. It really increases user engagement beyond what you would get with an out-of-the-box browser-based solution. And with that, I think we should go into our demo. All right. So I am in a Verint Community platform right now. And what you'll see here is the implemented Intento solution. So the Verint Translator by Intento is a simple plugin that, once it's active in your community environment, users will see a language selector here at the top of the page. Now, this will open a drop-down menu of languages that, when clicked, the user can just select the language that they want to use. By the way, this menu is fully customizable, so we can adjust the font, we can adjust the colors, customize it completely so that it looks the way that you want it to look and so that it fits with however your environment looks specifically as well. Now, once a language has been selected, the content is extracted from the web page and then sent to Intento for translation. Now, on the Intento side, there's a number of steps we take to get to that desired output showing on the page, but I'll show you that in more detail later on in the demo. But as you can see here, the web page will be translated immediately into the selected language. And I, as a Dutch speaker, can now use all of the functionality in the Verint platform in Dutch, even though nobody's actually gone ahead and exported this content or translated it beforehand. This is all being done on the fly. So what's even better, I can now also send and reply to any messages in my preferred language as well. So let's reply to this thread. So I've now communicated, interacted with this environment in my preferred language. But let's say another user is viewing this thread as well, but they're not a Dutch speaker, they're visiting the community as a Korean speaker. So they can select to see the environment in Korean. And then all messages in that thread will be translated and shown to them in Korean. Now, regardless of the source language that the original message was written in, the Intento translator will auto-detect the correct language of each message so that it can translate accurately. Also, what you'll see is as you scroll down the web page, the content will briefly show still in the original language, but it will quickly move over to the language that I've selected as my user. This is intentional because your selected language will be remembered and more content will be translated on the fly as you scroll down. The idea is that content will only be translated as and when users choose to see it, so when they scroll down or navigate to another page. This avoids unnecessary translation cost because if the user doesn't scroll down, the content will not be translated and you won't need to translate it. In a similar fashion, you might also be wondering with your hundreds or maybe thousands of community visitors, what will happen if the same visitor or multiple visitors view the same page in the same language? They're constantly translating the same content into the same language. Now we have a solution for this that makes sure that you don't have to pay to translate that content over and over again, because the Intento translator has the ability to store and then reuse the translated content using cache. So the translator will leverage the stored cache whenever possible. And that means that the content is, well, first of all, leveraged from cache, so it doesn't need to be translated from scratch. So it's a cost-saving efficiency, but also is rendered faster. So you have a slight increase in speed there. And you're only paying to translate the content once, the very first time. Now, there are a number of additional features that come with the plugin as well. And for that, I'm going to just move back to a language that I actually speak. There is a way to also use multilingual search within the platform as well, using the Intento translator. So we've been viewing this page specifically in Dutch, but we want to use the search function to find a specific page. So I'm going to enter a search term in Dutch and press search. Well, I don't even need to press search, because you'll see this happen very quickly. There's a number of steps that have already happened. But what happened just now is the Dutch search term that I typed in was sent to Intento for translation back into the original language, which is English in this particular case. And the search query is performed in the original language because that content doesn't actually exist in Dutch yet, and so we can't search for it in Dutch. But the results are they've been searched for in English, and the results are then shown to the user based on the English search term, but already translated for them in Dutch. This is all happening in the background. The end user just sees whatever you see here. They don't really notice, so they have a seamless experience while they're searching for content that doesn't really exist in their language yet. So, having shown some of the basic functionality in the Verint platform itself, I would also like to show you what actually happens when we translate content in the community from one language to another. So we're going a little bit behind the scenes to show this translation functionality on the Intento side. And for that, I will move back to our slides here. So as you can see here in this little visual, I want to just explain how Intento works and how we set up these language workflows for you. So content can be translated in many different ways with many different steps in the workflow, all leading to different translated outputs. Now, Intento's goal is to achieve the best translation output for you specifically, for your organization, for your team, for your requirements. That might mean it is different than what we would do for another customer, what we do for another company, another organization. There's many different ways that we can get, many different ways leading to Rome. It really depends on your specific use case and your requirements, how we build workflows for you. So we set up these customized language workflows so that you can automate some of those steps in the language workflow, that you can be assured that the terminology, tone of voice, and any other language aspects in this workflow are covered. So we're looking here at an example of such a language workflow. Now, each language workflow covers one language pair, so one language translated into another language, but we can set up as many as required. So as I mentioned previously, we support over 650 languages, so that's a lot of language combinations to implement if you'd like to do that. So starting with this workflow here, whenever a Verint Community user chooses to view the platform in German specifically, then that content will be translated through the workflow, and it will go through a number of steps. And we see that here at the top: source quality improvement, translation step, and an automatic post-editing step. And then we reach the desired output, in this case in German. Now, first, source quality improvement. This can be anything we need to do to manipulate the source content so that we can achieve a more desired output on the other side. Think of maybe a couple of examples that you see here: profanity filters. You might want to make sure your community visitors are not swearing at each other. And if they do, we can filter out those swear words. That's a step we apply at the source quality improvement level. Or there might be spelling or grammar errors in your users' messages. After all, user-generated content in general might be riddled with spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, not all the time, but it can be. And translation models don't always understand those, and so they might not translate those messages correctly. And in this case, we can implement an AI agent that uses underlying generative AI technology to rewrite the user's message in correct English or correct source language, with no spelling or grammar errors, and then we can be sure that the translation will be correct as well. Now, we can apply as many steps as we want on this level. It's just a couple of examples that I just gave. But then after that, we send the content to the translation provider. This can be any translation provider. We have in this visual, we have DeepL specifically, but it really depends on your specific use case. Intento has a rigorous process that tests and identifies the best translation provider for your scenario specifically. And that will likely result in using different translation models for different language pairs. But then on the other side, when we receive the output from the translation model, we apply more tweaks to the output to make sure that your business requirements are met. And we do that in a couple of standard ways, but can be customized ways as well. First of all, we apply terminology, or glossaries, as they may also be called. This is custom terminology tailored to the way that you want to speak to your users. So you might have, I don't know, job titles or specific phrases you might use within your community platform. And with the help of this feature, you can force the translation model to use that terminology in the translated output. So again, customizing it more to how your users speak. Another feature there is formal tone of voice or informal tone of voice. Very important in a community environment because you might want to address your users in a specific way, either a formal or informal tone that can differ per language. Most non-English languages have this distinction, so it's important that we teach the translation model which one to use, and if we can't teach the model to use that, then we will have other ways to achieve that tone of voice as well, so that you can really trust the output to speak the way that you want it to speak in all languages. Now, these are just some of the features that we can apply on any language workflow, but there are many more features and AI agents we can deploy in this workflow, depending on what kind of requirements you have and what you want your translations to look like. And each workflow might look different for each language pair. Some of the maybe source quality improvement steps might be the same because you're working with the same source content, but you might have a different translation provider for each language because different providers perform differently for different language translations. Then you might have an informal tone of voice in French, whereas you have a formal tone of voice in German and a formal tone of voice in Japanese. So it really depends on how you want to approach every single language. We can help you consult, we can help you give advice on that, and we build those language workflows for you. Now, going back to the actual live environment, just to show you what this might look like. Here in the centralized platform that you get access to when you sign up with Intento, you'll be able to see these language workflows for you as well. So you'll be able to log into this is our language hub and see your workflows in one place. So you see actually a lot more. This is just one workflow that we have, a lot more rules for different language pairs that we can set up here. We'll make this available to a number of super users within your team that need access to the solution itself, and they can use this centralized platform to manage the solution. But the end user, the Verint Community user, will of course not see this. They won't have access to this specific environment. When they select a language in the Verint Community platform, so let's go to German because we were talking about German just now, all they see is the outcome of that custom language workflow. So what's just happened now is the content has gone through all of these steps in the workflow. It happens very quickly, and the end user will see all of those steps applied in a seamless fashion. They just see the final outcome of that translation. Now, there is one more feature that I want to show you here, and that is translation storage. Now I'll go back into the centralized platform here to show you a different page. And with this tool, you can actually see that translation cache that I spoke about before. All the content that gets translated through the Verint translator on your community platform specifically is stored in this tool. And it can be accessed and viewed by those same super users that I mentioned before. Now I see my original content on the left, and I see my translated content on the right here, and I can use this dropdown to view translated content in other languages. Now I can then also edit this content. So this gives me a way to still have some control over the content that gets translated automatically. So we can have a look at an example. Let's say I'm a German speaker. I am looking at this welcome message on my homepage, and I don't like the way that it's been translated. I can change this if I want to. So I'm going to find the sentence in storage. This will show me the entry in storage specifically. I can then click to edit it. Let's just remove it so that we can see a clear change. I've now edited this entry, and my edit will go live immediately. So if I now refresh the page and I translate the community into German, I now see my updated translation. Now, this enables you to review some of the translated content in your community platform and then change it how you see fit. You don't actually have to worry about translating it all beforehand. The Verint translator does that for you because it is an automatic translation strategy to start with, but then you can edit it if that translation isn't to your liking. So you can slowly build up maybe a database of some human-approved translations for specific taglines or welcome messages that you want to have static on your pages. Now, if you don't speak the language, there are AI capabilities in this tool as well. So I can ask AI agents to review the translations and tell me if there are any mistakes, or I can ask an AI agent to correct the translation for me as well. There are various capabilities here. You can see a couple of different ways in which that has been used already. So some of these entries have been scored with a risk score, risky or low risk or risky. Here, when I click on that, I'll see a bit of a description. This is a generative AI model that has scored the translation entry and will give me some details of what the severity and the error type and the description of what the risk to this translation might be. I can then ask a different technology here to correct the translation or rewrite it or fix HTML markup. There are custom language skills that we can implement into this tool depending on how you want to use it. So this will help you generally be more productive in languages you may not understand. So there are, optional features if you want to use them. So all in all, what you've seen is a lightweight solution here that enhances your users' experience on the Verint Community platform by enabling them to view content in their preferred language, but language that's tailored and set up for your requirements specifically. Now, this lets you drive user engagement in general without having to do all the preparations beforehand. Like an article here, for example, if you wanted to make this article available in multiple languages, then you'd have to generally export the content, translate it, maybe through a free online tool that will give you a mediocre translation and will probably also use your data to train their models. Or you can send it to a translation company that will take 3 days to translate it and charge you a lot of money. Or you can implement the Verint translator that will simply allow the user to view the content in their language immediately using best fit translation workflows for your use case. And that is everything I wanted to show. So I will hand back over to you.
To learn more about Intento, please visit the Verint Marketplace or reach out to your Verint representative. Thank you to Maria-Lind, and thank you to the audience for joining the Intento session of the Verint Marketplace Partner Showcase. Make sure to tune in to our other dynamic sessions, which can be accessed live or on demand from the same portal homepage you registered on. Have a great day, night, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are and whenever you're watching. Thank you.